Hello, in this video we're going to be working on the typography, the color, and the spacing, the padding and margins of everything to try to make it more close to the mockup. And what I've done is make the mockup PDF and the browser window about the same width so that we can compare side by side and try to get our text sizes and all that as close as we can to the mockup. So we're basically avoiding the header for now. That's going to be by far the trickiest part of all this. So just gonna do some stuff to make us feel good about this. So let's start with the selling points text. First thing we'll do, of course, is just get rid of that temporary background color we put on there. Okay, and oops. Alright, so obviously we need some padding here, so let's go ahead and find our okay, we don't have a selling points yet, so I'm going to create a new section here in my CSS for all the selling point styles, and select that container, and let's give it a padding. Let's try 20 pixels. Okay, I think it needs to be a little more than that. Let's try 30. Okay, that's looking pretty close to the mockup. We want to have a bit of space between the two sections there, so let's add a bottom margin to our class selling point here. So selling points is the container, and selling point is each individual group of the H2 and the paragraph here. So we're going to add a margin bottom. And on the mockup, it looks like it's about the same space as the padding, so we'll make that 30 pixels as well. Okay. Cool. And the space down here now is a little too big. Let's come back to that because I want to make sure we get our font sizes correct first. So the heading text is bigger, so we'll select selling point H2, font size. See what the font size is right now. We can do that with our dev tools here. If you go to computed and then you check browser styles and then search for font size, it will show you this will show you basically every CSS property there is, and like, so even if you haven't written the CSS in your style sheet, this will show like what all the default values are that the browser is applying to this element. So if you check browser styles, that is. So if we check browser styles and search for font size, we'll see that it is 24 pixels. So we want more than 24 pixels. Let's go with 30. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Let's bump it up a bit more. 33. Okay, yeah, that looks pretty close. Okay, the paragraph text also needs to be bigger. Default paragraph text is 16 pixels, so let's try 20. Okay, yeah, that looks pretty good. I'm using pixels here for font size. There's definitely a very strong argument to be made to make some other unit like M or rem, or like we use VW up here in the nav bar, rather than using that concrete unit of pixels. There's some other units that are more flexible, I guess. Yeah, there might be good reason to use some of those units instead. I'm just going to be using pixels for now, just because it's going to be easier to just kind of like get it as close as we can to here. Okay, let's change the color. So the paragraph and the link both have a different color, which we have here on our mockup. So the paragraph text is this 7F7967. 7F7967. And the anchors. Selling point A. That color is 65EE0. Okay, and I believe, yes, there's no underline there. So we remove the underline, text decoration none. Oops. Okay, cool. Alright, this is starting to look very close. We're still off a little bit on our spacing. Let's add line height to our paragraph. This text, you can see, is a little more spaced out, the space between the lines of text. And so we can do that with the line height property. Let's try 1.5. This number is a multiple of the font size, so a line height of 1.5 in this case is equivalent to 30 pixels, which means each line of text is going to take up 30 pixels of space. Let's see how that looks. That looks pretty close. Yeah, I want to say there's like a tad bit more spacing between the heading and the paragraph text. I'm getting like really nitpicky here, but I'm just going to add a margin bottom. Let's inspect this layout. H2. Okay, it has no margin bottom. That's right, because we zeroed it out in the resets. So margin bottom, let's just do something really subtle, like 5 pixels. That might even be too much. Yeah, that looks pretty close. Okay, cool. So finally, I'm just gonna get rid of the extra space down here. So we can do that in one of two ways. We could remove it from the, like we did with the nav bar. We could do selling point last child and then remove the margin bottom from that, or we could just here, let's just select first child. That makes more sense. So we're only applying the margin bottom to the first selling point. And there we go. That looks very close. There, I think, is a little less padding on the top, and maybe even more on the sides. You can see on here the word "for" here is on the second line in the mock-up. So that means either you know, the text is slightly bigger, or there's a little bit more padding on the sides. So I'm going to try adjusting the padding. I'm going to say 35 on the left and right. And less than that, let's try 25 on the top and bottom. Oops. Yeah, so that's now looking very, very close to the mock-up. So this paragraph text isn't quite the same. There's you know, the word logistics is on the next line here, but it's not a big deal. It doesn't need to look exactly because, you know, this is the browser, of course, changes sizes anyway. So we're just using this as kind of a rough reference to get it pretty close, as close as we can. But there's always going to be slight differences. Okay. And yeah, even just like adjusting the browser size slightly made that logistics word drop down the next line. So right now it looks pretty much exactly like the mock-up. Okay, cool. Let's just quickly do the same thing for the for this text down here. I will delete the background color. Doop-a-doop. And add the actual background color, which is that same 7F7967. 7F7967. So I'll make a new section in my CSS for the categories. Background color 7F7967. I remembered it this time. Alright, cool. And then the text is, the headings are FFE 598. So select H2. FFE 598, right? Yep. And then the other text is FFF8E5. There we go. Alright, cool. So let's give it a padding. Let's use the same padding that we used up above for the other stuff. So that would be this. Oh, I did not mean to add that to the paragraphs. There we go. Okie doke. Okay, so let's work on the font size. So the paragraphs are, or the headings rather, are quite a bit bigger. Let's try what we used up in the other section, which was 33 pixels. Okay, so this text is actually, this heading text is much bigger than this up here. So let's try 45 pixels. It's taking a long time for this page to refresh for some reason. Okay, even bigger. Let's go 50. Let's go 55. Why not? All right. Yep. Okay, so that's getting pretty close. Let's work on the paragraph text. Font size. Let's go 30. Too big. 25. Still too big. 22. That's maybe kind of close. Let's change the line height though. Line height 1.5. So let's try the good old golden ratio 1.618. I think the text might be still smaller. And bigger on the line height. It's getting there. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty close. Let's add a margin to create this space here between each category. So in our code we have that marked up as class category. Category margin bottom. What do we do up here? 30 pixels. Not quite that much. Maybe 25. Yeah, okay. That's close enough. The fact that we're using like lots of different numbers here shows that like the designer of this mock-up wasn't paying too close attention to like being consistent with font sizes and line heights and all of that. You know, as a designer, it's good to like just have some harmony in like the font sizes and the amount of padding, the amount of margin that you're using, so that you have that nice vertical rhythm. But we'll try to stay true to the mock-up here. So that's looking really close. All right, so let's move on to this this logo. Pretty much all we need to do here is get it centered and give it some space to breathe. So we have already, in our CSS reset, we have made all the images display block. So because we've done that, we can select that image and center it with margin auto on left and right. Logo. Logo. margin. I'm not sure what we want for the top and bottom yet, so I'll just put 0 auto to get it centered. And it looks like it's bigger in the mock-up. So we might want to eventually actually edit the original file and change the size of the logo there. But for now we'll just leave it as is, and we do have some margin here at the top and bottom. So let's say it looks like actually more margin on the bottom than the top. So let's split this out into multiple values here. So we'll say I don't know, 30 on the top, auto on the left and right, and then we'll do like 50 on the bottom. So top, right, bottom, left are the order of the values here. So we have 30 on the top, 50 on the bottom, and auto on left and right. And yeah, the logo in the mockup is definitely bigger, but I think we want even more on the bottom. Let's go 70. Okay. We're not going to get exact without changing the logo size, so let's just move on to the footer. Let's delete that color. And what color is the actual footer? It's just the same. Okay, so that. So all we need to do here really is center the text, change the color, and change the font size. Footer. Text align. Center. Font size. Let's try 20. And color is 7F7967. Okay, and we need some padding. Font size looks good though, so let's just add some padding on the top and bottom. Let's look at the other layouts to see what kind of padding we might want to have here, because I can't quite tell on the mobile. Okay, so not a lot, but there is some on the top and definitely some on the bottom. Okay, so let's do 10 pixels on top and bottom, and we'll just do 0 on left and right. It doesn't really matter because it's centered. So now let's go ahead and do 10 pixels all around. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Actually, maybe we do want yeah, looks fine. Let's do 20 pixels on, well, everything else has 30 pixels of, no, yes. Oh my god. Padding 35 pixels. So let's just try to be consistent here, and we'll put 35 pixels of padding on the left and right. for the footer. Yeah. So that it's the same as the as this text. Okay. Yeah, so that's all looking really good. So some of the issues we still have would be obviously the header. And other than that, we have some issues with the images here. So like these images are not the same size. If we look at the tablet, come on. These two images take up the same amount of space vertically, and this video takes up the full width of the screen. And we know we need to change the size of this image. And so to make these two images take up the same space vertically, we just need to crop them. We need to open them up in an image editor and edit the actual image file. That's not something that we would do with CSS. I mean, you might be able to do that with CSS, but probably the best thing here is just to actually make those two images the same size, make them have the same aspect ratio. So I'm not going to do that in the video. I'm going to do that kind of off screen here. Open these images up, crop them, and I'm going to make the logo image bigger as well. Just scale that up a bit, and we'll talk about the we'll actually talk about the full screen video in another video. But yeah, so getting those images the right size are pretty much the last step as far as like getting the spacing good. There is this issue of the video. Do I want to talk about that right now? Yeah, let's go ahead and address that. It's kind of a weird thing. The video, the iframe, it's not really flexible, or it's flexible, but it's not. It squishes. It doesn't maintain its aspect ratio, so we get like this squishy square video here, and then when we, increase the browser size, it just kind of maxes out. So the way to do this is like, it's pretty much just kind of a hack. Again, in the future, hopefully in the near future, we will have an aspect ratio property in CSS where you can actually just tell the browser, hey, I want this element. It can be any element. It can be an iframe video or anything. I want this element to always be 16 by 9 or 1 by 1, make it a square, or whatever aspect ratio you want. And we'll just have like a single CSS property for that, and it'll be beautiful. We do not have that right now, so the way to do this is just kind of like a hack. And I'm not even going to explain how it works exactly. I'm just going to show you what it looks like. So what we have to do is basically put another container around that iframe video. So I'll go ahead and do that. And I'll call it aspect ratio, because the point of this thing is that this is what it does. It will make sure that that video always maintains the same aspect ratio. Whoops, that's not the right page. What am I doing? Undo. That's the wrong file. Sorry. No, that is the right file. I'm going crazy. I'm sorry. No. What is going on here? Oh, I was in the header. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This is. I'm just confusing myself. I was looking at the wrong image. Okay, iframe. We want to put a div around the iframe and give it a class of whatever, but I'm just gonna call it aspect ratio. Okay, and then I'm going to refer to my other CSS page here. Alright, we just have to kind of like copy paste this chunk of code. So we have some code that's applying to that container we just created, and then some code that's applying to the iframe. Again, I'm not going to explain this. There it is. But this will work to give any element a specific aspect ratio. You just have to change this value here. So this is 9 divided by 16 because the video is a 16 by 9 video. If it were, say, 4 by 3 video, then this would be 75%, which is 3 divided by 4. So whatever percentage you give here will determine what the actual shape of the thing is. Alright, so let's just make sure that that works. We're going to have to change some other stuff, though, because of creating that extra container. If the page ever refreshes. Come on. Did I lose? Oh, I lost my internet connection. That's cool. Okay. So this is where the video would be. But you can see it's the layout got kind of messed up because we added that extra container here. So we need to just go back and replace in our media query where we selected that iframe. We need to just replace that with selecting that aspect ratio container. It says I have internet. Come on. Incidentally, this is why it's good to have backup fonts, even if you're using @fontface rules, like a Google font, because if for whatever reason that Google font does not load, then it will fall back to the next font. So right now, that is just like the default system sans serif font. But if we wanted this to say fall back to Arial, or I don't need to put quotes around Arial. If we want to fall back to Arial instead, or whatever, then you could add those. I got internet again. You can add those fonts to your list so it falls back not just to the default. Okay. Anyway, here's our video, nice and full screen, no matter the, yeah, we switched to 3-column there. It maintains its aspect ratio. We got full screen, and it's going to stay 16 by 9. Look at that. So, there we have it. Okay, that's all for this video. Like I said, I'm going to edit those images in between videos. And I guess the last thing really we have to tackle is the header. So, God bless us. See you next time.